way you and I relate to this moment has the power to change our lives, and even in a bigger sense, to really set a new course for our whole human consciousness. So when we talk about the power of now, living in the moment, there is no day but today, it's important, and we need to wake up to it and embrace it in a wonderful way. Now, I share every first of the month the theme from the shaman path. The shamans really relate to the earth and what the earth is doing and our consciousness and the great spirits. And the shaman path for this month is new alignment. Now, I want to give you a little bit of information about that. New alignment doesn't mean to plug into what's always worked and do it the same way. Not just plugging into, oh, I've gotten by with this. This is pretty good. I'll just keep on doing this. That is not enough. The new alignment means not just, if you've fallen off track, getting back on the same track. Do you get what I mean so far? It means we've got to raise our track up. We've got to step up. A new alignment means plugging into something bigger, greater than ourselves. And it was interesting. You know, things always, isn't it interesting how you think about something and then everything comes to you in that same way? Well, I read that and I loved it. I just thought that was such an interesting and a beautiful thought for the time, to plug into something new and greater. And then on Friday, Dr. Jim and I went to an interfaith annual prayer breakfast. It was actually established, this prayer breakfast, this prayer day was established by Ronald Reagan for leaders of all faiths to come together and honor one another. Most faiths were there, not all of them, but most were there to honor and recognize each other. And the speaker for the day is someone that I'd heard before, a friend of Jean Houston's, a social visionary and evolutionary thinker, an international speaker and author. And he had some brilliant things to say, but he only had 20 minutes, so it was short. And so I asked him, because there were still questions, it was so potent and wonderful, there were still questions, and so I asked if he'd come back and speak with us and help answer some of these really, really potent and important questions. Dwayne Elgin is his name, if you've heard him, and he said, the important thing for us to do at this time of great transition in the world. And you see, we no longer live as individual tribes or families or cultures. We're now a global family. And what we're doing as a global family is affecting the earth. So we have, at this transition time right now, we can either head in one direction or in another. And it matters. That's why this moment matters so much. We can either head towards devastation or renewal. What do you choose? Only a few of us choose renewal? Oh my gosh, I'm not doing enough work here. Renewal. We want to renew, which means plugging into something new. We can't be doing the things the same old way we've been doing them and expect things to be different. What do we want? Oh, thank God for that. I was worried there for a minute. But we want this renewal. And what we have to do, he was sharing that the important thing for us to do is not connect with our good enough gifts, but our true gifts. Our purpose. We all chose to come to this planet, of course, for our soul to grow and to learn the lessons we need to learn. But we came here with a gift to give the planet. Something we can do, a difference we can make. And that's why we're here. It's an inner perfection that we're called to tap into, that's growing and evolving always. This is not new stuff. Jesus said this thousands and thousands of years ago. Well, thousands and thousands of years ago. But he said, the kingdom is at hand. And the kingdom is that perfection we're talking about, that divine spark that Bill was talking about, the spark of our divine essence. It is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. We are made in the image and likeness of God. This has been going on for 1,000 years. We got to get it. Are we ready to get it now? And the answer is yes, in case you forgot, okay? The answer is yes, we're ready. Yes, it's time. Now, the Gospel of Thomas was written in these early Christian years, but it was just found in 1945 in the Egyptian desert. And the Gospel of Thomas says this: The kingdom is inside of you and outside of you. The Father's kingdom is spread out upon the earth, and people just don't see it. We just don't see it. Is that because we're bad people? We're such good, wonderful people. That's not why we don't see it. We just get confused. We get confused because we think what is physical is real. And what is physical is not what's real. It's transitory. It's impermanent. What is real is what's invisible. Now, does that make sense? Not to our human mind it doesn't make sense, but to our spiritual mind it makes perfect sense. We are spiritual beings gifted with this glorious human experience to grow our souls. And that's what this human body is here to do, to be a vehicle to help us grow our soul. And we just get confused. I'm sorry. But we have something we can do about it. But I want to tell you a little, this is this ocean of life we live in, and it's like the little fish. We've all heard this story many times, but it's so fun to hear because it's so true if we pretend we're the fish. A little fish is just swimming around, and somebody says, "You are surrounded by water." And the fish goes, "Oh," not really understanding what water is. Do you get where we're going with this? Okay. Surrounded by the water. So the fish does what any good fish would do. Goes to the fish library, studies fish lore, fish psychology, fish philosophy, fish anything to try to put it all together, to make sense of it. Keeps seeking and seeking and seeking to find out what water really is. And what am I to do with it? But then the fish runs into a wise old fish who said, "Oh, I heard of a time our ancient fish ancestors understood this ocean of life." Oh, and the fish are just so dang excited. They can't even stand it. They finally found a way to find out what water is. And so they gather around this wise old fish, and they're all there swimming and happy and flapping their whatever it is, their fins, and doing all that good stuff. And they start chanting, "Oh, water, 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 reveal yourself to us. Surround us and fill us so we can know what you are." Same story goes with us. It's all there for us. It just has to be realized, welcomed, and revealed. And because we live in an evolutionary universe, it's a continual process to do this. Now, okay, here's why we get confused. And Eckhart Tolle, the king of power of now, here's what he says that we have a tendency to do as human beings. He said, people tend to dwell more on negative things than on good things. Okay, just checking. People tend to dwell on negative things more than on good things. The mind then becomes obsessed with negative things. The habitual patterns, the propensity to always see what's wrong, the propensity to feel sorry for ourselves. Do you guys know that? Of course we do, because it happens to all of us, and that's why we need each other to wake up. And then the mind becomes obsessed with those things, with judgment, guilt, anxiety, and we project those thoughts on our future. And he goes on to say, to complain is always non-acceptance of what is. How many of you are complaining? Okay, I did that yesterday really well. Okay. It invariably carries an unconscious negative charge. When you complain, you make yourself a victim. When you complain, you make yourself a victim. When you complain, you make yourself a victim. He said it once, I said it 3 times. He says, when you speak out, you are in your power. So he gives you 3 ways to change your situation. And I really want you to think of a situation in your life. Now, first of all, I want to tell you, I'm not trying to imply there are those times that are just intolerable, because I know those. Those times when you have to pull off the side of the road and just sob because you don't know how you're going to make it through the next second. I know those. Pema Chodron, in her book, Living Beautifully, which is where I got the title for this month, gives us a couple of ways to handle it, and I'm going to share that in just a minute. But no, I'm going to share her ways first, and then I'll finish with Eckhart, because I've got to do that. She said, when you're in one of those intolerable moments, I don't know if she called it intolerable, but I am. She says, put your hand right here and just say, this is the experience I'm having right now, and it's going to be okay. This is the experience I'm having right now, and it's going to be okay. So it's not denying that in this way our soul grows, we don't have devastating experiences, because dang it, we do. But there's ways to handle it. And if we denial, pushing it away, distraction, all those things don't work, but just owning, this is the experience I'm having right now, and it's going to be okay. And she goes on and she explains another way, which I've talked about before, but I think it's so beautiful because we get those moments. Like when we hear about the earthquake in Nepal, and so many people suffering and dying, and so much poverty. We hear about man's inhumanity to man in Baltimore and people's judgment and all that, and it gets us because we care, that we have empathy. And so here's a simple thing she does, and it's called the Tanglin Method, and she said, simply breathe in the pain, because we feel it. We don't want to deny that it's not there, because it is there. This life does get painful. So you breathe in the pain, and then breathe out peace, breathe out relief, breathe out what you vision, what you see, what you know. Breathe out the goodness that you know is possible, the it's going to be okay part. And we can do that and be a part of the changing things for good. So there's two things to do for those intolerable times. Eckhart Tolle talks about what to do and some of the other, well, all the times he doesn't address the intolerable ones, but he says, if there's a situation that you just don't like, there's 3 things you can do. Number 1, leave. If it's too much drama, too much problem, too much that you just can't deal with it, you know there's nothing you can do, you just got to get yourself away from it. Number 2, change it. And we change it by speaking our words, speaking our power, telling the truth, or taking action. We can change it. We have the power to do that. Now, again, we need this balance in our life. We need this balance. And so you can leave, change it, or accept it just as it is. Pema has a beautiful line that I love. She says, oh, the ambiguity of being human. You know, we say, don't worry, everything's perfect. Everything's in divine order. Get your health insurance, get your car insurance, plan for the future, be prepared for disasters. You know, how do we balance that? It's the balance of being responsible and faithful. Taking the time to recognize we're in this experience for a reason, and we're here to do good work. So, how many of you are worrying just a little bit? Have a little bit of fear? You don't have to raise your hand, but you know, it's part of the human condition. And we have our mind that goes around in the circles like this. And we need to find a way to stop the circles from going round and round and round, because we're creating our experience. Remember, we're vibrational beings. So we're either having a law of negative attraction or a law of positive attraction. What would you rather have? You guys knew that one. You guys got that one. Okay, we want to have the positive attraction. So what we need to be doing is stopping the worry. That we can stop the worry. We've got to stop the worry. And we stop the worry by putting God first, putting good first, putting love first. When we remember what I said in the beginning, we're spiritual beings, it's about remembering that underneath all of the confusion and the chaos and the drama, there is the stillness in us. Beyond all of the confusion and the worry and the fear, beyond that thinking mind, there is beingness. We have the power to make that change. And beyond that place we talked about of the severe pain, where things feel intolerable, there is the joy and love, because that's the stuff we're made of. So we need to do our work to put God first. Well, how do we do that? How do we get to the place where we can do that? Well, we have to make the space to put God first. I'm going to read one of my favorite passages in the Bible. And we have free will. That's not in the Bible, but I need to say that first, because we have free will, and we've got to make a choice to put the positive things first. We have to make the choice and do the work. We have to make it happen. We have to make the choice to turn away from all the things that are keeping us spiraling downward and sinking into the problems, and do the practice that makes us change. And this is a passage, truly, I read it and I melt because it's beautiful. And it's in Matthew and Luke. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life. What you will eat, what you will drink, what you will wear. Is life not more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds in the air. They do not sow or reap or gather in barns, and yet the Heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? And can any of you, by worrying, add a single moment to your lifespan? And why do you worry about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field and how they grow. They neither spin nor toil. And yet I tell you, even Solomon in all of his glory was not clothed like one of these. If you have a passage, a reminder, something that can shift us into remembering, everything we need is in this present moment. Ernest Holmes says negative forces operating in our lives will die a natural death if we become disinterested in them. Disinterested in them. We don't make them the priority. They aren't what keeps us going. It's the beauty and the goodness. Dwayne Elgin, when he was talking about the invisible nature of life, he said this invisible nature that we can't see, what are the qualities of that? The qualities of the invisible nature are light, which we know as healing, love, which we know as connecting, music in that invisible part of our life. He said, all life is resonance. The string theory and quantum physics, everything vibrates and is in resonance. We have a song in us. Right now, the song of our world is in a lot of discord. The song of our world is in a lot of disharmony, but we have the power by aligning in a new alignment with our own song. We can uplift the vibration that's happening. And number 3, there's a knowing in us, in this invisible place. If we can just close our eyes and get to that place where we know there's something more at work. So I'm going to close today with 4 little tools for us to use that I just experienced. When I told you yesterday I was complaining, I was. And sometimes I don't complain quietly because I get stuck and I don't see a way out. Do any of you get there? And mine is, it's so simple that it's embarrassing to me. I mean, I'll just tell you the simple ones. I'm sure there's other ones I could think of, but it's embarrassing because they're so simple. But the first step in this moment is we've got to show up. We've got to be there. We've got to enter into the present moment. And my present moment was about my dogs. And I have one little dog that's little. I can handle him if he's naughty, little. The other one is a little bit, she's sweet as anything, but she doesn't like other dogs or birds or anything that runs or, and she's too strong for me. So when I take them out, it's always, I'm going, oh my God, there's going to be an obstacle course, I know it. Oh my God, there's going to be birds and there's going to be dogs. Oh, cats. Oh my gosh, cats, there's going to be cats. So what am I doing? Creating an experience before it even happens. And Kirk hears about it. So I decided to pay attention, which is the second step. You got to show up and you've got to be willing to show up. You can continue complaining, which I have been for quite a while, but or we can show up and pay attention and say, okay, breathe. There's something more to be known here. You can take them out alone. Oh, okay, I could do that. Or you could visualize a good experience. You can know something positive, which doesn't mean there won't be a cat or a rabbit or a duck or a bird or something, but you can visualize a better experience and affirm it. You know, Ernest Holmes says that the greatest creative agency in the world is affirmation, positive affirmation, that we believe. The greatest creative agency. So I breathed in, showed up, paid attention, I meditated and listened, set the stage. Oh, things have been great. Of course, it's only been 3 walks, but they've been great. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen again, but I'm not setting the stage for it, okay? I'm not doing that. So we have to show up, pay attention, tell the truth, which means affirm the good. So I want you to think of a situation in your life, whether it's one of the big ones or the little ones, that you'd like a little differently right now, that you'd like to have a different experience, because we're in charge. No one can change our lives but us. We do this from the inside out. So what is it right now you'd like to change? Just close your eyes and do it quickly. Come up with something, the first thing that pops up. Step in the present moment. Recognize it, be honest, show up this moment, and be willing to change. Don't push life away that we do so much by our complaining. We complain and complain, we're negative, we push life away. Fall into life, fall into the experience. Recognize the creative potential of this moment is in its fullness right now. The sun shines the same on everyone. The power is there, we simply need to step into it. To step out of the shadows and into the light. So pay attention in the light. Breathe, meditate. Hold a greater truth. And then tell the truth. I claim my good. Say that. I know I am a being of light. A child of God. The power of love is within me. I choose my life. I claim my good. Beautiful. So we've done the first 3 steps. Good job. Now the last one might be the hardest, but I was waiting till the end to tell you that. It says, do not be attached to the outcome. Don't enter into every moment with an agenda that it has to be this way. Ernest Holmes also said the most important thing we can do is wait. Wait for the God power within us and around us to give its gift, to share its life, to do its good. The most important thing we can do is wait on the power and presence of God to do its work, to show up, to share. We've opened the door, and to simply open for it to come in. Yes, this is a good signal for you guys to come up. So we're going to affirm some good today. So just say after me, I am totally and fully present. No, you're not. We're going to say that one again. I am totally and fully present. I accept my good. I can make the change. I see goodness in my life. I see love in my life. I see abundance in my life. I see health in my life. I am the joy in my life. And before we say the last thing, I want to tell you at that prayer breakfast that Dr. Jim and I were at, it began with 4 interfaith prayers from different faith traditions. And the one that touched me the most was from the Sikhs. And the Sikh came up to do the reading, and he brought his wife with him. The rest were just the men of the tradition. He brought his wife with him, and they read together. And he ended by saying, the joy I know about life, no matter what's going on in my experience, I express through my smile. And his smile was healing. Didn't have to say a word, because he had connected with that inner perfection, the inner joy, the inner power. And may I know that for you, that today we leave with a greater connection to the joy at hand, a greater connection to that inner perfection, a greater connection to knowing that we are here. This life is a gift. This life is a gift. It's beautiful for us in all of its expressions to let our soul grow and become that we can be in alignment with our true gifts. I'm asking everyone to leave today with conscious intention to be feeling good, feeling love, feeling harmony, feeling joy. Are you with me? Good. Well, I bless you all. We'll leave and uplift the energy of life together. How good it feels to be a community that's here to support one another in growing and becoming. I simply say thank you for being here together. Thank you for all the good that's being revealed. And so it is.